The next morning, Marcus woke up with renewed determination. He had spent much of the night thinking about the previous day's events, and his anger had crystallized into a plan of action. After breakfast, he and Kaisha drove to the local television station where Maya had arranged for them to meet with an investigative reporter named David Chun. David had built a reputation for exposing discrimination and inequality in the city, and he listened intently as the couple recounted their experience. He asked them to repeat certain details, took extensive notes, and requested copies of their financial documentation to verify their claims about being qualified buyers. This is unfortunately more common than people realize, David explained as he reviewed their paperwork. Luxury car dealerships often engage in what's called customer profiling, based on appearance and assumptions about economic status. What makes your case particularly strong is that you have documentation proving your financial qualifications. The reporter arranged to visit Premier Luxury Motors that afternoon with a hidden camera, posing as a potential customer to see how he would be treated compared to Marcus and Kaisha's experience. He also planned to approach the dealership for an official response to the allegations. Meanwhile, across town, a young man named Alexander Whitmore was reading the morning news on his tablet while eating breakfast in his downtown penthouse apartment. Alexander was 28 years old, but most people who met him had no idea that he was the heir to one of the largest automotive manufacturing fortunes in the country. His grandfather had built Whitmore Industries from the ground up, starting with a single auto parts factory and eventually expanding into luxury vehicle imports and high-end dealership franchises. Alexander preferred to live quietly, avoiding the publicity that often surrounded wealthy families. He drove modest cars, wore casual clothing, and rarely mentioned his family's business empire. Few people knew that he regularly visited various dealerships and businesses owned by Whitmore Industries, observing operations and customer service from an ordinary customer's perspective. As he scrolled through local news websites, Alexander came across an early online article about Marcus and Kaisha's experience at Premier Luxury Motors. His blood ran cold as he realized that the dealership mentioned in the story was one of his family's franchise locations. The article described the couple's treatment in detail, and Alexander felt both embarrassed and angry that this had happened at a business bearing his family's reputation. He immediately called his assistant, Sarah, who had been helping him manage his involvement in the family business since his recent graduation from business school. Sarah, I need you to pull all the information we have on Premier Luxury Motors. There's been an incident, and I want to understand exactly what happened. Within an hour, Sarah had compiled a comprehensive report on the dealership, including sales figures, customer complaints, and management reviews. Alexander was disturbed to discover that there had been several previous complaints about discriminatory treatment, though none had received significant media attention. Get me a meeting with Jennifer Martinez, the sales manager mentioned in this article, Alexander instructed. Don't tell her who I am. Just say that I'm a potential high-volume customer interested in discussing a significant purchase. That afternoon, Alexander dressed in expensive but understated clothing and drove one of his more modest vehicles to Premier Luxury Motors. He wanted to see the dealership's operation firsthand before revealing his identity and addressing the discrimination incident. As he entered the showroom, Alexander was immediately approached by an enthusiastic salesperson who introduced himself as Robert. The contrast between Robert's warm greeting and the treatment described by Marcus and Kaisha was striking and confirmed Alexander's worst fears about what had occurred. Welcome to Premier Luxury Motors. I'm Robert, and I'd be happy to help you find the perfect vehicle today. Are you looking for anything specific? Robert's attention was focused and genuine, clearly assuming that Alexander was a serious potential customer based solely on his appearance. Alexander spent 30 minutes touring the showroom, asking questions about various vehicles and observing how the staff interacted with different customers. He noticed that other well-dressed visitors received immediate attention, while a young Hispanic couple browsing near the certified pre-owned section was largely ignored by the sales staff. When Jennifer Martinez finally appeared, Alexander requested a private conversation about a potential fleet purchase for his consulting business. Jennifer was eager to accommodate, leading him to her office and offering coffee while discussing volume discount possibilities. "I'm interested in purchasing multiple vehicles," Alexander explained carefully. "But I have some concerns about your customer service standards. I've heard there was an incident here yesterday involving a couple who felt they were treated unfairly." Jennifer's demeanor shifted immediately and she became defensive. "Oh, that situation was completely misunderstood. Those people weren't serious buyers. They didn't have the proper qualifications for our premium vehicles. We have to protect our inventory and our other customers' experiences." Alexander felt his anger rising but maintained his calm exterior. "What qualifications were they missing? Did you review their financial documentation?" "Well, no, but you can usually tell when someone isn't a real customer," Jennifer replied, apparently comfortable sharing her discriminatory attitudes with someone she assumed shared her perspectives. "We get people who come in here just to waste time or cause problems. We have to make quick decisions about where to focus our attention." This admission confirmed everything Alexander had suspected. He excused himself from the meeting, telling Jennifer he needed to consult with his business partners before making any decisions. As he left the dealership, he was already formulating a plan to address the situation comprehensively. Back at his apartment, Alexander spent the evening researching Marcus and Keisha Johnson. He discovered that Marcus was a respected engineer with an excellent reputation at his firm, and Keisha had recently completed her master's degree while working as an elementary school teacher. Their social media profiles showed a couple dedicated to their community, with volunteer work at local charities and involvement in mentoring programs for young professionals. Alexander realized that this situation presented an opportunity to do more than just address a single incident of discrimination. He could send a powerful message about his family's values while ensuring that Marcus and Keisha received the respect and service they deserved. He called Sarah again that evening. "I want you to arrange for 2 vehicles to be prepared for delivery tomorrow. Get me the exact BMW model that the Johnson couple was trying to purchase, and also prepare our top-of-the-line model with all available upgrades. I want both cars detailed and ready for presentation." "Should I coordinate with the Premier Luxury Motors location?" Sarah asked. "Absolutely not," Alexander replied firmly. "I want these vehicles prepared at our flagship downtown showroom. And Sarah, I want you to personally ensure that these cars represent the absolute best of what we can offer. This is going to be a very important delivery." As Alexander prepared for bed, he felt a mixture of anticipation and responsibility. Tomorrow would be about more than just correcting a wrong. It would be about demonstrating the values that his family's business should represent and ensuring that discrimination had no place in any organization bearing the Whitmore name. Marcus Johnson adjusted his tie nervously as he walked hand in hand with his wife, Keisha, toward the gleaming glass doors of Premier Luxury Motors. The couple had been saving for 3 years to purchase their dream car, a sleek BMW sedan that would mark their 10th wedding anniversary in style. Marcus had recently received a promotion to senior project manager at his engineering firm, and Keisha had just completed her master's degree in education. They felt ready to celebrate their hard work with something special. The dealership sparkled under the afternoon sun, its showroom filled with pristine vehicles that seemed to promise adventure and success. Marcus had called ahead to schedule an appointment with a sales representative, explaining that they were serious buyers with pre-approved financing. The receptionist had sounded enthusiastic over the phone, confirming their 2 p.m. appointment. As they entered the air-conditioned showroom, Marcus noticed several salespeople scattered throughout the space, some chatting with customers while others stood near their desks. The couple waited patiently by the reception area, watching as a well-dressed woman approached them. Her smile seemed forced as she looked them up and down, taking in Marcus's pressed slacks and button-down shirt and Keisha's professional blazer and dress. "Can I help you?" the woman asked, her tone lacking the warmth they had expected. Her name tag read Jennifer, sales manager. Marcus extended his hand politely. "Yes, we have a 2 p.m. appointment." I'm Marcus Johnson, and this is my wife Keisha. We spoke on the phone yesterday about looking at the BMW series. Jennifer's expression shifted slightly, and she glanced around the showroom before responding. Oh, I see. Well, those vehicles start at quite a high price point. Are you sure you've looked at our financing requirements? We typically require excellent credit scores and substantial down payments. Keisha felt her stomach tighten. She had experienced this type of treatment before, but it never got easier. We have pre-approved financing through our bank, she said calmly, reaching into her purse to retrieve the paperwork. We've also prepared a down payment. Jennifer barely glanced at the documents. I'm not sure we have time today to go through the full process. These cars require serious consideration, and we typically work with customers who have established relationships with luxury dealerships. Marcus felt his jaw clench, but he maintained his composure. We've been researching this purchase for months. We know exactly which model we want, and we have all our financial documentation ready. Could we please speak with the salesperson we're supposed to meet? I'm afraid he's busy with other clients, Jennifer replied curtly. Perhaps you might be more interested in our certified pre-owned vehicles? They're located in our secondary lot across the street. The dismissal was clear, and both Marcus and Keisha recognized what was happening. They had dressed professionally, brought proper documentation, and made an appointment, yet they were being treated as if they didn't belong. Other customers in the showroom, all of whom appeared to be white, were receiving attentive service from multiple staff members. We'd like to speak with your manager, Keisha said firmly. Her voice steadied despite the anger building inside her chest. Jennifer's fake smile disappeared entirely. I am the manager, and I'm telling you that we don't have anything available for you today. I think it would be best if you left and considered other options that might be more suitable for your budget. Marcus looked around the showroom, noticing that several other staff members were now watching the interaction with curious expressions. None stepped forward to offer assistance or alternative solutions. The message was unmistakable. They were not welcome here, regardless of their qualifications or intentions. This is discrimination, Marcus said quietly, his voice carrying enough authority to make Jennifer uncomfortable. We have every right to be here, and we have the means to make a purchase. Jennifer crossed her arms defensively. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're creating a disturbance, and we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. Keisha pulled out her phone and began recording. We're not creating any disturbance. We're simply trying to exercise our right as customers to purchase a vehicle from your establishment. Security. Jennifer called out loudly, drawing even more attention from other customers. I need these people escorted out immediately. A uniformed security guard appeared from somewhere in the back of the showroom, approaching the couple with a stern expression. Marcus and Keisha exchanged glances, realizing that continuing to resist would only escalate the situation further. They had experienced enough humiliation for one day. We'll leave, Marcus said with dignity, but this isn't over. We'll be filing complaints with corporate headquarters and the Better Business Bureau. As they walked toward the exit, Keisha felt tears of frustration beginning to form in her eyes. The other customers in the showroom watched silently as the couple was escorted out, some looking uncomfortable but none speaking up in their defense. The glass doors closed behind them with a soft whoosh, leaving Marcus and Keisha standing on the sidewalk in the hot afternoon sun. I can't believe that just happened, Keisha whispered, her voice shaking with emotion. We did everything right. We followed every rule, brought every document, and they still treated us like we didn't matter. Marcus put his arm around his wife's shoulders, feeling his own mixture of anger and disappointment. We're going to make sure everyone knows about this, he promised. Nobody should be treated this way in 2024. They walked slowly to their current car, a reliable but aging Honda that had served them well for nearly 8 years. As Marcus started the engine, he looked back at the dealership through the windshield, watching as Jennifer stood near the entrance, apparently explaining the situation to other staff members. The drive home was quiet, both of them processing what had just occurred. They had saved money, prepared documentation, and approached the purchase with professionalism and respect. Yet none of that had mattered when faced with prejudice and discrimination that seemed to have no place in modern society. That evening, Marcus spent hours researching the dealership online, reading reviews and looking for similar complaints. He found several stories from other customers who had experienced comparable treatment, most of them people of color who had been dismissed or ignored. Despite having the financial means to make purchases, Kaisha called her sister, Maya, who worked as a civil rights attorney in the city. Maya listened to the entire story with growing anger, taking notes and asking detailed questions about the interaction. "This is absolutely unacceptable," Maya said firmly. "You have grounds for a discrimination lawsuit, and I think we should also reach out to local news stations. This kind of behavior needs to be exposed and addressed." As Marcus and Kaisha prepared for bed that night, they felt emotionally drained but determined to seek justice. They had worked too hard and come too far to allow this type of treatment to go unchallenged. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities to make their voices heard and ensure that other families wouldn't experience the same humiliation they had endured. The following morning, Marcus was getting ready for work when his phone rang. An unfamiliar number appeared on the screen, and he almost didn't answer, thinking it might be a sales call. Something made him pick up at the last second. "Mr. Johnson? This is Alexander Whitmore from Whitmore Industries. I believe you had an unfortunate experience at one of our franchise locations yesterday, and I'd like to meet with you and your wife to discuss the situation." Marcus was confused. He had never heard of Alexander Whitmore and wasn't sure how this person had gotten his phone number or learned about their experience. "I'm sorry, but I don't understand. Who did you say you were?" "I'm the heir to Whitmore Industries, which owns several luxury car dealership franchises, including Premier Luxury Motors, where you were mistreated yesterday. I learned about what happened through news reports, and I want to personally apologize and make this right." Marcus felt his heart rate increase. "Are you serious? Is this some kind of prank?" "I assure you this is completely legitimate," Alexander replied. "I'd like to meet with you and Mrs. Johnson this afternoon if possible. I have something I'd like to show you both, and I want to personally ensure that you receive the treatment and respect you deserve." After hanging up, Marcus immediately called Kaisha at the school where she taught. She was equally skeptical but agreed that they should at least investigate whether this was genuine. They arranged to meet Alexander at 4 p.m. at the address he had provided, which turned out to be a high-end business district downtown. David Chun, the investigative reporter, had spent the morning reviewing footage from his hidden camera visit to Premier Luxury Motors. The video clearly showed the discriminatory treatment that other customers of color received, validating Marcus and Kaisha's account. He had also obtained a statement from Jennifer Martinez, who defended her actions and insisted that the dealership had the right to determine which customers were serious buyers. That afternoon, Marcus and Kaisha drove to the address Alexander had provided, still uncertain about what to expect. They found themselves in front of an impressive glass building with Whitmore Industries displayed prominently across the entrance. A well-dressed young man met them in the lobby, introducing himself as Alexander Whitmore. "Thank you both for coming," Alexander said sincerely. "I want to start by offering my deepest apologies for how you were treated at our franchise location. That behavior is completely unacceptable and does not represent the values that my family's business was built upon." He led them to an elevator that took them to the top floor, where floor 2 ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city. Alexander's office was tastefully decorated but not ostentatious, and he gestured for them to sit in comfortable chairs arranged around a coffee table. "I spent yesterday investigating what happened at Premier Luxury Motors," Alexander continued. "What I discovered was that this wasn't an isolated incident, but part of a pattern of discriminatory behavior that I'm committed to ending immediately." Kaisha found her voice first. "We appreciate your concern, but we're still not entirely sure why you're personally involved in this situation." Alexander smiled understandingly. "My family founded Whitmore Industries 3 generations ago, and we've built our reputation on treating every customer with respect and dignity. When I learned that one of our franchise locations was engaging in discrimination, I knew I had to take personal action. He pressed a button on his desk, and Sarah entered with a folder of documents. I want to show you both something, Alexander said, opening the folder to reveal detailed financial records. Yesterday, I had our accounting team calculate exactly how much money Premier Luxury Motors has likely lost due to discriminatory practices over the past year. The number is staggering. The documents showed that the dealership had experienced declining sales and increasing customer complaints, particularly from minority customers who had been dismissed or ignored. Alexander had also commissioned a review of other franchise locations to compare customer satisfaction ratings and sales performance. Discrimination isn't just morally wrong, Alexander explained. It's also terrible business. When you turn away qualified customers based on prejudice, you lose money and damage your reputation. Marcus was beginning to understand the scope of what Alexander was telling them. So what happens now? Are you planning to address the situation at Premier Luxury Motors? That's already begun, Alexander replied. This morning, I terminated our franchise agreement with that location. Jennifer Martinez and several other staff members have been released, and we're implementing comprehensive diversity and sensitivity training across all our dealership locations. Kaisha felt a mixture of satisfaction and surprise. That seems like a significant response to one incident. It wasn't just one incident, Alexander clarified. Your experience was the final straw that forced me to confront a problem that had been building for months. But I also want to do something more personal to address the wrong that was done to you both specifically. He stood up and walked to the window, gesturing for them to join him. In the parking area below, they could see two pristine vehicles, a gleaming BMW sedan in the exact model and color they had wanted to purchase, and an even more luxurious vehicle that appeared to be a Rolls-Royce. The BMW is exactly what you were trying to buy yesterday, Alexander explained. It's fully loaded with every available option, and it's yours with no payment required. Consider it our apology for the treatment you received. Marcus and Kaisha stared at each other in disbelief. I don't understand, Kaisha said slowly. You're giving us a car? I'm giving you 2 cars, Alexander corrected gently. The Rolls-Royce is our flagship model, and I want you to have it as a symbol of the respect and dignity that every customer deserves. Both vehicles are registered in your names, and all insurance and maintenance costs are covered for the next 5 years. The couple was speechless. What had started as a humiliating experience of discrimination had somehow transformed into an extraordinary demonstration of corporate responsibility and personal generosity. There's one more thing, Alexander added. I'd like to offer you both positions as consultants for our customer service improvement initiative. Your insights and experiences could help us ensure that what happened to you never happens to anyone else. That evening, Marcus and Kaisha sat in their driveway, looking at 2 of the most beautiful vehicles they had ever seen. The BMW represented the dream they had worked toward for years, while the Rolls-Royce symbolized possibilities they had never even imagined. David Chun's news report aired that night, featuring interviews with Marcus and Kaisha, hidden camera footage from the discriminatory dealership, and a statement from Alexander Whitmore about the changes being implemented across all franchise locations. The story quickly gained national attention, sparking conversations about discrimination in retail environments and the importance of corporate accountability. Several weeks later, Marcus and Kaisha attended the grand reopening of the former Premier Luxury Motors location, now operated directly by Whitmore Industries with a completely new staff. The opening ceremony featured Alexander speaking about diversity, inclusion, and the company's commitment to treating every customer with respect regardless of their background or appearance. Jennifer Martinez's dismissal had sent a clear message throughout the automotive industry that discriminatory behavior would have serious consequences. Other dealerships began reviewing their own practices and implementing training programs to prevent similar incidents. As Marcus watched Alexander cut the ribbon at the new dealership, he reflected on how dramatically their lives had changed in just a few weeks. They had not only received the car they had originally wanted, but had also become advocates for change in an industry that clearly needed improvement. Kaisha squeezed his hand as they stood in the crowd of onlookers, many of whom were families of color who had come to see the transformation of a business that had once excluded them. The couple had learned that standing up against discrimination could lead to outcomes they never could have imagined. Their experience had become more than just a personal victory. It had become a catalyst for systemic change that would benefit countless other families in the future. Sometimes Alexander reflected as he watched the diverse crowd of customers exploring the new showroom. The most powerful response to hatred and prejudice was overwhelming generosity and an unwavering commitment to doing what was right.